You ever get that feeling, that little voice in the back of your head that asks, wait, is this all there is? It's that deep, kind of universal search for purpose, right? For that one big thing that makes all the other pieces of your life just click into place. Well, today, we're going to dive right into that question using Os Guinness's incredible book, The Call, as our guide. Let's see what he has to say.
So this is our guide for today. Guinness really gets into one of the most basic human desires out there, the need to find and live out the central purpose of your life. But as you're about to see, the journey to find it, well, it might not go in the direction you think it will.
All right, so let's start with what Guinness calls the ultimate why. And this isn't some abstract thing for philosophers to debate. Nope. This is a question that hits every single one of us at some point. It's really at the core of being human.
Guinness tells this incredible story about a super successful, really wealthy businessman. I mean, this guy had it all. He could hire people to do literally anything for him. But he admitted, with a tear actually rolling down his cheek, that the one thing he couldn't pay someone to do was the thing that mattered most: find his purpose.
And that feeling, it's not just for the mega rich. It hits all of us. You know, when you're a teenager and the world is just this giant menu of choices, you feel it then. You feel it when you graduate and you realize that picking one door means all these other doors have to close. It definitely comes up in midlife when you look around and wonder, am I a square peg in a round hole? And yeah, even after you've achieved a lot, you can still ask, so, what was that all for?
And look, the stakes here are really, really high. Guinness brings in a quote from Henry David Thoreau to make this point crystal clear. If you don't answer this ultimate why for yourself, all the other stuff, the money, the success, the knowledge, it can all feel completely empty. You risk living one of those lives of quiet desperation that Thoreau talked about.
Okay, so if the problem is not having a purpose, then the solution is simple, right? Just seek harder. Just try with all your might and all your smarts to find it. Well, let's take a look at what happened to maybe the greatest seeker who ever lived.
Leonardo da Vinci. I mean, the name itself just means genius. This guy was the whole package. Strong, brilliant, totally self-reliant, super ambitious, a true Renaissance man. It was like he was on a personal mission to see just how far human power and potential could go.
But here's the crazy part, the big paradox. At the end of his life, Da Vinci was apparently just sunk in this deep sadness. Can you imagine? He watched his own masterpieces, like The Last Supper, literally crumble and fade while he was still alive. He felt totally crushed by this sense of grand failure, absolutely convinced that all his work, all his knowledge, it just wasn't enough. So much was left unfinished.
You know, there's this little doodle Da Vinci made late in his life. It was just a bunch of rectangles, kind of like dominoes, all toppling over. And he wrote this caption. That was his metaphor for human life, that all our best efforts, all our big projects, just end up collapsing on top of each other into, well, nothing. Pretty bleak, right?
So that forces us to ask a really tough question. If Leonardo da Vinci, with all of his brainpower and his non-stop drive, couldn't seek his way to feeling fulfilled and instead just ended up in despair, what in the world does that mean for the rest of us? Maybe the problem isn't how hard we're looking. Maybe it's how we're looking.
And that brings us to a really important idea. Guinness says that in the West, we've basically got two totally different ways of searching for meaning, and they're based on two totally different ideas about love.
This slide breaks it down perfectly. On one side, you have Eros. Think of this as the great ascent. It's our climb, our human struggle to get to something we want. But on the other side, there's agape. This is the great descent. It's not about our search for God. It's about God's search for us.
So Eros, that's Da Vinci's path. It's the one that makes the most sense to us, naturally. It says, we're the ones in the driver's seat. We seek, we want, we strive. And if we can just get our hands on that thing, whether it's truth or beauty or God, then we'll finally be happy.
Agape just flips that whole idea upside down. It's a totally different way of thinking. It says true fulfillment isn't about what we can grab onto, but in realizing that we're the ones being grabbed. The search doesn't start with us, the seeker. It starts with a love that's already looking for us, no matter who we are.
And this, right here, is the absolute heart of the call. It's this wild reversal of how we think about finding our purpose. It's the idea that real seekers don't just find, they get found.
So go back to Da Vinci for a second, right? Striving with everything he had. Think of that businessman, ready to trade his whole fortune to find his purpose. What if their basic starting point was just wrong? What if the answer isn't in our heroic search at all?
And this is the secret sauce of the whole search, according to Guinness. It's a complete 180.
The answer isn't about us climbing our way up to God. It's about God coming down to us. The whole dynamic just gets flipped completely on its head. Guinness puts it beautifully. He says, we think we're the ones looking for something, but it turns out we're the ones being found by someone. It's like you think you're the hunter, but then you realize you're the one being tracked by what a poet once called the hound of heaven.
And that's why the Eros way, the Da Vinci way, just doesn't work in the end. Because, in this view, the gap between us and the meaning we're desperate for is just too huge. No amount of human genius or effort can build a bridge that long. It has to be built from the other side.
So what on earth does all this mean for us in our actual lives? It means we need to change how we think, from finding a call to answering one.
So in this way of thinking, a calling isn't just your job. It's way, way bigger than that. It's the idea that because you've been sought out your entire life, who you are, what you do, what you own, all of it gets a brand new direction, a new energy, because it's all a response to that call.
And that takes us right back to the beginning, doesn't it? The answer to that businessman's search, that ultimate why, isn't about inventing a purpose for yourself. It's about answering the call that's already there, giving your life its purpose. It's a response, not an invention.
So, we're going to end where Guinness starts, with a question aimed right at you. Is your life just a jumble of your own ambitions and whatever the world is telling you to do? Or is there a deeper call that you're meant to answer? That's the big question that the call leaves us chewing on.